I was actually ordering a carryout from Red Robin's, and I wanted a mushroom Swiss cheeseburger. Nobody answered, so what I did is I got in my car, because they're real close to my house. I thought, I'll just go there. I got in my car, and I felt a little off, and then I must have, I don't know, blacked out or something, but the next thing I know, my car is like right against the gate, like it moved, and I didn't realize it. Turned off the engine. I'll just go in the house, sit down. My legs felt really weak going in the door, so I knew I needed to call someone. I think I'm having a stroke, which has been a big fear of mine, and I hesitated because I didn't want to live through a stroke. The next thing I know, I'm on the couch, because I must have blacked out. I was on the couch, waking up to my neighbors from across the street, and they were on the phone with my friend Diana. She used to babysit for their son. And next thing I know, EMS is arriving. EMS would try to get me up off the couch, one on each side, and my legs dropped out from under me. Then I was really afraid. I mean, I just was panicked, like, God, what's happening to me? I remember hearing the words, "Don't be afraid." I thought maybe it was one of the paramedics. The next thing I know, I was in the ambulance. And they were trying to talk to me. And, but I wasn't, it was strange because I wasn't panicking anymore. I just sort of kept a sort of a journal. Like 7 p.m. arrived at Henry Ford Macomb, and I don't remember any of that. Maybe an aneurysm, a lot of bleeding. I don't remember going to the first hospital. Critically ill. She wrote here, bleeding stroke. After that, I don't remember really anything. Then at Henry Ford Detroit, I arrived at Henry Ford Detroit at 10:45. Blood around the brain that was ballooning. They made a small hole in the skull to relieve the pressure. The highest risk was over the next 24 hours. Radiologists to go through the artery in the neck with dye if they cannot treat. If that fails, and they can't, they'll do open brain surgery. Well, I was adopted as an infant. I was 1 year old when I was adopted from Korea and brought to the States. And I think for most of my childhood, I had more of a existence of sort of like a inadequacy. There was a certain frailty about me. I had a lot of injuries, childhood injuries, illnesses. And I sort of felt like a weakling, if that, just inadequate and weak. That's most of my recollection is, how I felt about myself as a child. That was left behind when I woke up in the hospital. I think actually after when they extubated me, 2 days later after the surgery, initial surgery, the first time I woke up and they extubated me, I felt okay, other than I had some head pain, and I felt like there was probably no reason for you to keep on giving me all this pain medicine and keeping me, drugged. I said, because in my mind I was fine. I remember initially when I first woke up, I had a lot of head pain, but I didn't have the headaches that I had for the last 35 years. It was just a head pain. And how can I say, I don't recall a lot, but the people who came to see me, my family and friends, said I was quite verbal, a little bossy, and was still demanding that they bring in my work. And interesting enough, my sister, who was, she had chronically ill, her daughter told me that, she had injured her foot, and I had her bring her up to the hospital to see me. I looked at the foot, told her to take her to ER, called down to the nurse's station, gave them the directives that I normally give them, and they listened to me, actually, probably not realizing I was a couple floors up, and I was in ICU. I didn't connect it right away. So I thought, okay, well, I'm free of the headaches, which is huge. I was free of the neck pain. That was huge. But the deep sense of calm that I have, I've never had a deep sense of calm. And it just permeates for me. And I don't think, I never grew up, or it's never been my life aspiration to say, I want to be happy, let alone joyful. If I could be content, I was doing really good. And I think, you know, people talked about joy, and I thought, well, that's nice. You know, and I was not, I mean, I just didn't think it was something that I would attain. I knew how God can heal illness, you know, emotional pain, but how is he going to restore a physical touch? How is he going to restore a healthy physical, you know, sense of self for me? You know, and he did. You know, as far as not through someone or anybody else. Not saying that the hugs weren't nice, but not from the inside. I didn't know how he was going to pull that off from the inside. And to be honest with you, there's part of me that didn't think it was possible. I thought, okay, I want to get back to work. I want to get back to driving. And I always wore corrective lenses for driving. So I put them on. They weren't working. So I went to the optometrist, and she goes, they're not working because they're too strong. I said, what? She says, you'll have almost perfect vision. You don't even really need these glasses. I thought, I've always worn glasses. I mean, since I was, I think, 5 or 6, I think I was in kindergarten. And even things like, you know, I get these floaties, you know, I've always had those. I don't have those either. Clear as a bell. So, I was real pleased about that as well. I sought out 2 other opinions with 2 other neurosurgeons to see if they could, 1, rule out any other further aneurysms, and 2, maybe explain my recovery. It was interesting because when I arrived, they both expected somebody, at best, using a walker or some kind of assisted device. But I was not. But for me, that's what the cross is all about. It's about not just salvation, it's about resurrection, restoration. It's about, you know, and that wholeness. Before I used to just think those were words, you know, but now he has made it so personal to me, for me. And he knew exactly what I needed, and he knew exactly how to meet me there, you know, where I couldn't get on my own. This is what I've learned. And how can I use I use the analogy of God is the most creative, awesome choreographer I've ever known. Timing is perfect. And I work with trauma patients. You know, the people I work with are people who've been usually auto accidents and where their life has changed immediately, you know, totally unplanned. And I work with, you know, I know many of them are angry. Many of them fall into depression. You know, they have nothing. And one thing that they all have in common when it goes negative is lack of hope. You know, something bigger than the doctor, something bigger, than what they can make sense out of. But I will tell you this, after 27, 28 years of doing this, those who have hope, without a doubt, will always make a better and quicker recovery. Because that's how powerful the belief system is. But that's of the mind. And letting go and letting God do what He can do and believing in His faithfulness, let yourself be surprised. Now, I'm a person who doesn't like surprises, but I like his surprises.